Okay, so we're on the Zion of Aleph. So we said one top one. Yeah, so we said that what do you call it? We said that if the fence breaks on Hamoed, so you're allowed to fix the fence, right? And Rabbi Yehuda said that on the Sada Elon, then you could do it. I'm sorry, no, I jumped the gun. I'm sorry. I went with previous to that. Top line. That's talking about that depends which type of rodents. The rodents, if they're in a tree grove, so then it's a problem. If it's in a sada, then it's you're going to do a shalai kedarka. It's not going to be so damaging. Meaning, depending on to what level the damage is. Can you guys hear me, or should I put on headphones? You hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay, so again, the sada elon, it's going to do a lot of damage. So therefore, you're allowed to trap them regularly. So the lovin, which is basically a wheat field, then it's not going to do too much damage. So you only do it with a shinis. So how do you do? What's the regular way to do it? It's a chayfer guma. So it's very simple.
So the lovin was a rice field.
Rice, I think. I thought the article said it's wheat.
Yeah, they did. But
no. Well, white.
Right.
Well, it's brown rice.
Oh, fried rice.
Very good. So what's the regular way? So chayfer guma, you dig a hole, the toilet metzora, and then you hang a trap in there, right? Very simple. You make a hole in the ground and put a trap. Okay, that's the regular way. Okay, you stick in a shvud, a piece of metal, and then you hit it with a hammer. And then that makes it shakes up the ground from under it. It loosens up the ground, and then I guess I don't know exactly what happens then, right? Like they can't move, I guess, or they sink, whatever it is. Fine. So Tanya
they get crushed by the earth.
Collapses.
The earth on the top of them.
The tunnel collapses.
The tunnel collapses, and then they can't dig out of that tunnel. I guess they can't dig out fast enough, probably.
It's like a mine collapse.
They can't. These guys dig tunnels. I don't know, but my stomach not fast enough. I get it, right? Okay, so it's a Tanya Shimon Lazar Amru Misada Lavan Shaloi Kedarka. When we said that in this white field, you can only do it not in the regular way. You can only do it in a Sada Lavan that's close to the city. But if the white field is bordering on the Sada of the trees, then afilu kedarka, then you're even allowed to trap it in the regular way, even in the Sada Lavan. Maybe it's going to go out of the Sada Lavan and it's going to destroy the trees. Meaning, if you have two fields, one is of trees and one is of Sada Lavan, we have to be afraid that these animals these rodents are going to travel to the neighboring field. So then you're allowed to do it. I'm just wondering.
Why? How about stuff? Cover?
Oh, so that's what I'm wondering.
That's the
do these fields have to be owned by the same guy? Or as long as you know that your neighbor's field, that your neighbor has a tree field, so then you're allowed to trap yours. Maybe the neighbor doesn't care.
How about you, do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I would think that it's even if it's not you. Certainly if it's yours, then for sure. And if it's not yours, so do you have to ask the guy first? Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's a billionaire and he could care less. This is his hobby, right? So I don't know. Fine.
He still doesn't want his stuff ruined, no?
He may not want somebody to do a malach on Hamoed for something like that.
I mean,
I'm just
because he's wealthy.
I think you're right.
No, I'm saying because he's wealthy, he doesn't want someone doing a malach on the Hamoed.
Yeah, it helps. It helps to be wealthy, not to do malach on Hamoed. It does help, by the way, right? Although you'd be surprised how many wealthy people still want to work on Hamoed. Yeah. The other option is taking family trips. Right? That could be Hefsim Ruba too.
Which we said yesterday is not allowed anyway.
Yeah, right. Okay, so then the makron appears to be Moed. So you're allowed to fix the pirza on Chol Moed. Tates and makron. How do you go fixing it? Meaning you're not allowed to fix it in a permanent way. You're allowed to fix it in a temporary way. So Rabbi Yosef Amar Pahutza v'Dafna. So Hutza v'Dafna means like trees and branches. You're not fixing it properly. It's the branches. The Brisa we learn What you do is you pile up the stones, but you don't connect. You don't do the stones. How do you call it? Not glue it, cement it. You don't cement it with.
So that's just a temporary thing.
Yeah, so that's a temporary. It's not full avodah. It's much easier to just pile up rocks and then not cement them.
And by the way, in the olden days, that's how they used to make walls. Remember, we did that like that.
Right.
We used those walls from the pizza fair. Remember?
Yeah. So I don't know how that.
They were just sitting on it.
Yeah.
Because they're bigger rocks. They're just sitting.
It's a fancy thing nowadays.
Yeah.
I think.
But there's no cement because we take it apart.
Yeah, you could. I hear. I don't know. I don't know what that means because that's a proper wall. Right. I guess maybe they only do that low. They're not going to do it high. They only can say a certain level.
We used it funny times.
Yeah, it went that high.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear. Okay, fine. So Rav Chisda has a chiddush. He says that only in the garden, the wall for a garden of a kaisel a chotzer boine kedarka. But if it's a wall around the chotzer, then you can be boine kedarka. Now, chotzer meaning, back then they shared a yard, and back then the chatzeris, pretty much they lived in the chotzer. Even in Yerushalayim, now they pretty much don't. But in the old days, even 100 years ago in Yerushalayim, for what I've read up, basically they ate in the chotzer, they did laundry in the chotzer, they did everything in the chotzer. You just went to sleep in the house. So people kept, expensive belongings, but they kept their belongings in the chotzer. So if the chotzer, a wall goes down in the chotzer, you might be risking people stealing things from you. So for your garden, there might be a loss, but it's not going to be a major loss. But for your chotzer, that's a major loss, and then therefore you can build a proper wall. That's what Rav Huna says, because that's already could be a large loss. All right, because again, basically everything with chol hamoed, you have to evaluate, you have to weigh the losses and the risk versus the return, etc. Yeah, so that's Rav Chisda's chiddush. So now the Gemara has two versions. One is a proof to Rav Chisda, one's a kasha Rav Chisda. Let's say this is a proof. So you have a wall that's leaning into the Rosh Hashanah. Yeah. So So what you do is you knock it down, and then you build it up because of sakana, meaning because you don't want this wall falling on people, right? So that's l'chayra proof that on the kaisel of a chotzer that you're allowed to rebuild it. So one says that's not a proof. No, there it's al sakana. Sakana we know. Sakana is like everything. If this wall is going to fall down onto somebody's head, so of course you got to knock it down and rebuild it. Fine. Others say that it's a kasha. So a wall that's leaning into Shazram. You knock it down and you build a kedarka because of sakana. You're only allowed to. We're gonna get, what do you mean? Not yet. Soon. Yeah, let's get to that soon. So you're only allowed to knock down the wall and rebuild it because of sakana. But if not a sakana, not. That's a kasha because you see here, the way the Gemara wants to say it now is saying, well, the only reason why you're allowed to build it is because it's a sakana. Mashma, if there was no sakana, you wouldn't be allowed to build it, even though it's a chotzer.
You have to build it on chol hamoed.
So if it's a sakana,
people can get hurt.
You knock it down for sakana. You have to rebuild it.
Oh, we're going to get to that in a second. Okay, yeah, Zev's asking a good kasha.
Maybe it's a turkey here to knock it down. It's supposed to be just fixing one piece.
Meaning, why do you have to? So we'll see. So that's the kasha. So there, you're knocking it down and you're building it again. So of course, it has to. You can only rebuild it out sakana. Here, you're building it and you're not knocking it down. So that would be okay, even if it's not a sakana, because meaning you're doing less work. There, it's a sakana, so you're knocking it down and rebuilding it. So for sakana, you're allowed to do that. But for non-sakana, you can't do that. So Gemara says, Hasam Nami list of livni. So there too, knock down the wall. Right? In the Makam sakana, just knock down the wall, and then you don't have to rebuild. You have to rebuild it for it. So you got rid of the sakana, right? Oh, so if that's the case, then what's gonna happen is you're not gonna knock down the wall, because then you're gonna leave your wall open to the crooks.
Oh, because they go back to the problem we had before.
Right. Meaning you're not gonna have a wall now, right? So then you're not gonna do it. And then therefore it's gonna end up being a sakana to the public. Again, what the Gemara is saying, if it's a sakana, so just knock down the wall, it's no longer a sakana, and then you don't have to rebuild it. Don't rebuild it. Right? So he's saying no, if you're gonna tell the guy that he can't rebuild it, then he's not going to knock the wall down in the first place.
He doesn't want people coming.
Because he doesn't want to risk his money, right? So if he doesn't want to risk his money, There's loss of money, so he's not going to do it. So that's where you get into the Machlokes with Moshe Feinstein and Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, whether we allow malacha to be done in case if people might not. Oh, there's a Hatzalah man himself just logged on. Look at that.
His ears must have been burning.
Must be. Yeah. So anyway, so
Hatzalah.
the Hatzalah. So Rav Moshe says that Hatzalah is allowed to drive home. If you don't let them drive home, they're not going to go. They're not going to go. So the same thing here from this Gemara. This Gemara is saying if you don't let the guy rebuild the wall on Chol Hamoed, which is Mamash and Malacha, he's not going to knock it down. There's going to be a sakana, right? You're hearing Naftali? Yeah. So that's what
I came at the perfect time.
That's what we just said. Your ears were burning.
If there's no sakana, you're allowed to knock it down. You're allowed to build it up again.
No.
Why would you be able to? It's not a sakana thing again.
Well, according to the first version of Rav Huna, Chatzor yes, because you're afraid it's going to get
like an oven
for the crooks, right? So you would be allowed to, but Rav Shlomo Zalman says on Rav Moshe that the Gemara in the Eruvin, we had this in Eruvin, it's only the Rabbanans you could be over for this, not the Reises. Meaning you can't drive a car. That's Issa Deraisa. To drive a car back from a call because. To drive a car back from a call because you need it again. No, if you need it again, that's for sure. So then what? If you need the car back in Farag, you drive to the hospital.
So that's why they come back.
No. There's 100 other Hatzalah guys there.
So why they drive the car back? Because then they won't go.
They won't go. You know, I'm sitting in my bed. Right? I'm sitting in my bed.
I'm gonna get stuck in the hospital.
No, I have to walk home from South Africa. All right, so you're not going. You're not going. So
you're not going to go save somebody.
So Moshe says, we have to be mounted. We have to be mounted him to drive home because otherwise the guy's not going on the call. Same thing here.
In the Chuvi, right? It's in the right.
Yes, it does. He matters even the rices.
How's he matter?
Because he says because of this. Otherwise, it's sakana.
That's why some places they say have a guy and
like
the guy
Lakewood, right? That most other places are not signing on this Ramosha.
What does the double cone say?
I don't know. I don't know what a double cone says. I don't know what a double Feinstein says either. But Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says the svara is correct, but for Yisuri Derabbanan. So if you had an Uber driver there, then yes, then the Hatzalah guy could come on an Uber driver because that's a Derabbanan, because that's a Miralaka. Right, it's a Miralaka on a Deraisa, but it's still a Derabbanan.
I spoke with.
I forgot you're on, Doctor. Go ahead. You got two doctors. Dr. Cormier got on now too. Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't say, but I spoke with one of the Gedolim about Rav Moshe, and this guy was Matir Teraisis, and he held very, very strongly that in this day and age, if we don't Matir to go back and so on, people will hesitate and lives could be lost. I had a long discussion with this Kadol.
We only quote people by name. We only quote people.
No. It's okay, Naftali. No, but that's doctor. That's not denying that. We're not going to deny that. What we're saying is that hire Goyim to drive the guys home like they do in Lakewood and in Muncie.
He was very concerned that It was very concerned. Yes, he was very concerned.
I'm saying Lakewood and Muncie.
Opinion, I think that there's more malacha being done with these guys that drive home, that get Goyim to drive home.
Definitely not.
The phone call, they're organizing, then in the end they go and take their car anyway, and this all
is. We don't need to know what everybody's doing. Just relax.
Don't tell us all the secret now.
Zoom off again, okay?
No, I'm just saying, this whatever.
No, but the point is,
maybe you should be able
to. Is Ramosha, when he mated this 50, 60 years ago, whatever it was, and he came out with the tshuva, we didn't have much of an infrastructure, to use that word, of Yiddishkeit. Now we have an infrastructure, right? It's a good Ramosha. Why do you got to go with Isuri Daraisa Mamish if you can hire Goyim, right? If you can hire Goyim, they have radios here in Lakewood, right? And they come and they go to the call and they bring the guys' cars back. That's all. I don't think it's so. It doesn't seem to be so complicated.
According to half the Rishonim, you have a raya from this Gemara that even a deraisa can be over.
Why? Because
Hamoed is a deraisa.
What do you mean? According to that?
Yeah, according to them, you have half the Rishonim that hold there's a raya from this Gemara. It can be over a deraisa.
Correct. Yes.
Even the ones that say the malacha and Hamoed is derabbanan.
So that makes it mutter, right?
What? It would be the Rabban.
It'd be the Rabban, right?
Somebody, that's all I asked me. So should you get a test?
Can you test us?
Somebody said a Tesla still might be a Tzaraas. Yeah, Aaron Kaplan wants to tell all that guys they got to get electric cars because that's be the Rabbanon. Right?
Next fundraiser.
Electric cars or self-driving cars?
Electricity, we pass, and the Chazanish says it's Baina, whatever it is, but those guys can disagree with the Chazanish. So it certainly would be better. Only thing is one car guy told me that there are sparks in there.
Get him an electric car with a grandma, like those wheelchairs.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, but on the way to the call, that wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
On the way to the call, that would be better.
Obviously, we want people to be saved.
Anyway, I hear you tying it, Gershon. I hear you tying.
If a guy won't get back in time,
Huh?
and somebody else might lose their life, so maybe that's why they want to use the rights.
What do you mean? That's if you have 5 Hatzalah guys. But if you have 100, how many we have? How many Hatzalah guys we got enough Hatzalah?
16,000.
Over 200.
Hatzalah guys in the 5.
Feels like 16,000.
Yeah. Again, you have to understand, we go all the way to all West Hempstead to Bell Harbor.
I'll ask a question. Are there more shuls or more Hatzalah guys?
Yeah. The question is on certain shuls, are there more Hatzalah guys davening there than regular people?
Probably we don't have to know what you do on Shabbos, okay? We didn't ask that.
Anyways, that's the sugya. Yes.
How are you learning this line of Gemara? Hasam nami lister v'lei livni. You're learning it as a question.
Very tired.
What? This line, Hasam nami.
Tired.
Yeah. You're learning it as a question or part of Rav Chisda? Yeah.
Well, in my Art Scroll app, it gives the colors and it has it as red, which means it's a kasha. I didn't see how to type it, but in
Art Scroll has a
okay.
question mark. Yes. Art Scroll has a question mark.
What?
Art Scroll has a question mark.
There you go. So see mine.
I would have read it as part of Rav Chisda.
Click on it, it tells you the kasha.
You see mine is color coded, so it's beferish red. So that means it's a kasha. Just helps when you're reading fast that you don't.
That's how you do it. That's how you know how to do the tune of talking. That's how you do the tune of when you're going over it, or we're asking a kasha or not.
Exactly. That's why I have it. Sometimes because before my kid chapped that the Art Scroll app does this. My kid realized it. Then I realized that I'll stop doing run-on sentences if I have it. If I have it yet. Yeah.
But you're saying if Landau had the app, he would also read like a Talmud Chacham?
Maybe. But you know what Landau's gonna say? He's gonna say he's colorblind.
Yeah, that's it. It's all Art Scroll.
But of course, Gershon is so yeshivish. He's trying to slug up the color code on the Art Scroll. All right.
Oh, it's just a little bit cumbersome to have it as a question. It's a weird way to ask it. It doesn't fit quite right.
I hear. Okay.
I would have said it's part of Rav Chisda.
Right.
Rav Chisda says what's it called?
It gives me the other side.
Yeah.
Take it up with the color code. Take it up with the
The point is, what do you call it? The point is yeah, fine. I hear what you're saying. Okay, fine. Now my screen froze. Okay, it's a little blocked. Okay, so Amar Ravashi, Masnisen Nami Deka. The Mishna is also Bedoy. The Katani. Ubeshvi is button. See. Wow, what is going on here? I'll show you another thing Art Scroll could do. If you really want Landau, you can eliminate the Rashi and the Tosfos, and all you have is the Gemara. So it doesn't look intimidating. See that? With the numbered lines and everything. Question, answer on the side. I'm trying to give you all the tools. But now I'm frozen. Okay. Samar Ravashi, Masnisen Nami, it's good. Masnisen Nami Teika. The Mishna is also doing it. The Tani B'Shvius on Shemitah, you build in the regular way. So the Gemara is Tehecha where? Elam at the Chatzar. When it says in Shemitah, you're allowed to build it in any way you want. How are you doing it? Elam, it's in the Chatzar, meaning where is it? Isn't a Chatzar Tzricha L'Meimar? Do you need to say what's wrong with building a fence in your Chatzar on Shemitah? Shemitah is only a problem for your land, not for your wall. You can build a wall in your house in Shemitah. So it can't be talking about a Chatzar. Elalav the Gina must be talking about a garden. Bavagav the Mirsi command of in the Tirusa Leperi. And even though it looks like you're doing it as a shmira to others, still Shmamina, we still hear from this that it's that you're allowed to do it for Shemitah. Because
what is he doing it as?
He's doing it so that stuff doesn't get stolen from his property.
Isn't that Mitzirutza Leperi?
No, he's not. I don't think he's doing it for the peri.
What else is in his garden that's going to get stolen?
He might have tools there. I don't know. He might have tools.
That it's a chutzner.
I was okay. I don't know. Maybe in the garden they also keep things there. I don't know. I hear. I mean, it's a big tumult exactly how you do shmira on your whether you're allowed to do shmira on the garden or not. I mean, in Shemitah, you're allowed to put up a fence. You got to stand there. Okay, fine. Now we get into Tzaraas. So for those that come to the chinuch shir on Shabbos afternoon, so we actually just did this mitzvah. So this actually has, for me at least, some familiarity since it's only been 4 days since Shabbos. So I still remember Epis. Right, so Rameiram. So basically, let's do a hakdam. The way Tzaraas worked is if somebody presented to the kohen with Tzaraas, so the first thing they did is they lock him away for a week and then check him again and see if the Tzaraas grew or it got better. If it got better, so then he goes free. If it got worse and it's real Tzaraas, then they lock him up and then he doesn't go free until the Tzaraas clears, and then he needs 17 days, right? And if they're not sure, they lock him up for another week. So that's basically what goes on. So we're going to see in the Gemara one of the more fascinating halachas that you get, which is that even if he has tzaraas, until the kohen says he has tzaraas, there's no tzaraas. Until the kohen says, you hear land out here, the power you guys have, until you say there's tzaraas, then there's no tzaraas. So the question is, if a guy comes with tzaraas on chol Hamoed, should we tell the kohen gadol not to check him? Because then he's going to have to tell him that he has tzaraas, and then it's going to ruin his yom tov. Imagine really yom tov. The guy has to leave. You got to leave town. Quarantine, right? Yeah, you got to quarantine.
If Cohen knows it's tzaraas, he has to tell him.
So that's what we're going to see. It's a machlokes. So
yeah, but isn't he tamei? Isn't he tamei? I'm saying, isn't it a chrayas?
No, the tumah doesn't happen. It's a fascinating halakha. Until the kohen says he has tzaraas, he doesn't have it. I'm sure. In my head, it's the way it is. You guys have some power. That's what we're going to see throughout this Amud. It's a fascinating thing. Now, here's the thing. So you would think, I don't know if we got to this in the Shabbos, but here's the thing. You would think, okay, so if a guy looks at himself and he knows he has tzaraas, he Googles it and he's got the YouTube and he sees that he has tzaraas, and he says, you know what? But what? Right. So, but can the guy do that? He doesn't want to go to the kohen. He's got a chasana. He's got a chasana coming up. So he says, I'm not going to the kohen today. No, I'll go tomorrow. I'll go tomorrow. That's what everybody's doing with the corona tests, right? On my way over here, somebody called me. They're going to Puerto Rico tomorrow. They're going through a hard time. So they're going to Puerto Rico. She have to take a corona test. So she took a test and she's positive. No. So then a nurse gave her a fake negative. She allowed to go to Puerto Rico. So I'm saying, well, what should I tell you?
That's a fake nurse.
Well, I didn't find out who the fake nurse was. I said, what exactly do you want me to tell you here? Right? So you can't avoid, you can't deny. So is it Issa?
It's crazy that they're asking you these questions. Just do whatever you want, but ask the question.
I sort of told them, like, there's some things that you don't ask if you want to do. You know what I mean? Like the cheating, the one that cheated.
They already went to get a fake negative, but they're really concerned about the halachic part of it.
I don't know. Whatever it is. But anyway, so what we're saying.
I'm really curious to say that somebody considers as a nurse would do that. That person should really lose their life.
Doctor, everybody's giving them out. That's the way. It's very easy to get to.
That's very sad.
It is. And to go there, it's Yisrael too. But anyway, how do you say? So getting back to this, so it's a isser. I don't remember if it's a lav or a bitalas. I think it's a lav. To not go to the kohen is a lav, but the kohen doesn't have to paskin it, which we're going to see now. So the Meir Reimer, Rameir says the kohen could look at the Tzaraas to be makel, in order to allow him to go out. But he's not allowed to look at it to be machor. The Gemara will explain what this is. Chacham says no, he can't. If he looks at it, then he has to tell you the truth, right? If he doesn't look at it, then he doesn't have to say. But he has the choice to say, I'm not checking you. But if he checks you, then he has to say. Okay, so let's see what this means. Rameir says you look at Negoyim means Tzaraas, to be lenient but not to be strict. Not to be making, not to be machmir.
Yeah, similar to Nida, no?
Sort of, but neither you can't. I'm saying, well,
you try it.
You have the same thing. You have the same thing. If you don't look at the
yeah, but you can't. By neither,
you don't look at the Mara.
Right. What?
If you don't look at the Mara, then they're not Tameh yet. I'm saying they're not Nida.
No, that's true. No, it does come up. The truth is, now you're saying it does come up.
You wait till after Shkia, let's say.
No, we always tell you not to look. We always tell you not to look, but not to look, not once you see a stain.
You don't check it. You don't check it.
Thing. No, I'll tell you like this. Let's say a woman has a stain and she didn't get to the rabbi. This comes up on a woman getting the periods on a Monday. Like, okay. Let's say she's staining on a Sunday and then the period doesn't come till Monday, but she didn't get to show the Shaila, didn't ask the Shaila. So
when did she start counting?
So most women don't want to go to mikveh Friday night, so they would rather count it from Sunday. So what you do is don't show it. Just be strict. You could decide on your own to be strict.
You mean, what's the worst thing to push off a day? You mean?
No, Adarabah, she'll be able to clear up 5 days. It'll be Thursday.
Wants to go backwards.
No, if we count the 5 days from Sunday, because she doesn't show it, she decides to be machor. So she'll be able to go to the mikveh Thursday night as opposed to Friday night. So even though Lamaisa, so actually it's a machlokes between Reb David Feinstein and Reb Moshe Feinstein. I don't remember who holds what.
Doesn't she have to consider herself nida for it to start?
What?
Doesn't she have to consider herself nida for it to start?
So she was machmer. She was machmer not to touch, but she didn't get to
was retroactive. That was a day later.
She was on midwinter vacation.
She had a stain on a Sunday. She didn't get to a rov. She was out of town. Right. She didn't get to a rov.
She didn't consider herself nida yet. What? She didn't consider herself nida yet because she was waiting for the rov.
Of course, she had a shaila. She didn't touch her husband.
Oh.
She right now Monday she calls the rov. She's like, I got my period. I'd really rather kick it back to Sunday. Right. So can the Rav say, okay, just don't show it, just be machmir, right? So Rav Moshe holds. Let's say she dropped it off at the Rav and then she got a period. So I think Rav Moshe holds, and the Rav paskin lekula. Then he says you can't count from Sunday, even though she was machmir, because lemaisa, lemafreya, she was okay. And I think Rav David says chaker, or maybe I'm mixing up. Okay, whatever. So it does come up. Anyways,
what's wrong? You test from the symptoms or from the test. Right.
Yeah. So Rabbi Yossi, what does that mean? If you're going to look at the Tzaraas to be makel, then you also have to look at it to be machmir. So I'm a Rebbi nirin divrei Reb Meir ben Muskar v'divrei Reb Yossi ben Muchler. It seems to me that Reb Meir is correct by Muskar, meaning Muskar is the guy that was locked up for a week. He doesn't know yet whether he has Tzaraas. So by him, it seems to be Reb Meir would be correct that don't tell him the bad news. Only tell him the good news. And Rebbi Yossi is by Muchler, because by Muchler he could very well be he has the actual Tzaraas. Now the Gemara clarifies. But tahor, when a person is tahor and he's first coming to be checked, he knocks on the kohen's door. He says, "Kohen, I don't know if I have Tzaraas." So and it's chol Hamoed. The kohen says, "Go enjoy your day. I'm not looking at you," because he was tar. That's to get the ball rolling. The kohen should not look. The hesker rishon, but let's say the guy comes to the kohen. Really, the kohen has to go to him. But the hesker rishon, the kuli amalei plagi, the chazilei, right? From the hesker rishon, right? It's nobody. There's no machlokes that he does look at it. Why? Because there's only what to gain. Right. Because if he could tell him it's tar, so then he's going to make him very happy, right? Mm-hmm. And if not, he doesn't say tameh. So therefore, he's going to just remain in his Hesker status. Keep ligi, right? So when we disagreeing on Amud base now, but Hesker Sheni, the second lockup. Yeah. Marsavar b'koyin tal yemilso. One says it's tali in the koyin. Itar amra leitar and itame shasik. If it's all up to the koyin. If the koyin says tar, he's good to go. And if the koyin sees it and stays quiet, since he didn't verbalize that the person is tameh, he's not tameh, which is a fascinating thing.
Isn't he going to know by the fact that the guy didn't say anything?
Yeah, correct.
That's not going to stare his yontif?
It's unbelievable. No, because he doesn't have Tzaraas.
But the guy just didn't say he does. If he didn't have Tzaraas, the guy would say tahor. But the fact that he doesn't say anything means he does. I'm just not saying anything. So the guy knows the minute yontif ends, the minute yontif ends, he's going to be confirmed.
But he doesn't get the din chamura. He stays a musker.
But he's what? If he's musker, he's going to stay on musker.
He stays musker. He doesn't become mukhlit.
Good, but he doesn't have Tzaraas. He's still happy he doesn't have actual Tzaraas right now.
He's no worse off than he was. He's not sadder than he was.
Correct. He's not going to be worse.
Right.
He's not going to be worse. Right? Well, what actually Gemara is going to discuss exactly. Right? Umar Savar. Yeah, I shut it off sometimes. It's annoying. Umar Savar Latarai or Latamai Ksiv. No, it says Latarai or Latamai. So therefore, it's not like that. When the kohen sees it, he's not allowed to be quiet. He can't pull the shtick. He has to say. So that's a Machlokes. So Amar Mar. Amar Rebbi, Nirin Divir Rav Yosef b'Muchlit, Rav Yosef b'Meir b'Musker. Right? We learned the opposite. Again, he said that Rebbi said that Rav Yosef seems to be the correct when he's to lock him up completely, and Rav Meir by Musker, which is interesting because the Gemara on Amud Aleph said in the opposite order. But either way, the Gemara says about Tanya Iffa, but we learned the opposite. So the Gemara says Tanoi, it's actually a Machlokes Tanoi. Tanoi Alibid the Rebbi. It's a Machlokes what Rebbi said. Marsa but Tzavsa the Alma Odifle. Now this is quite an interesting Machlokes. One says that a person would rather have friendship with people outside of his family than be with his wife. Umar Savar Tzavsa the Ishtay Odifle. A person would rather be with his wife. Meaning, the Gemara is saying now is that when he's locked up, he's allowed to have his wife with him. When he's not locked up,
he's not also
to his wife, which the Gemara is going to discuss in a minute. But he's not also, he can have his wife, but Lamais he's locked up from people. So is it kedai to have the kohen check him out? Because if the kohen checks him out and says he's tahor, so now he will, that's it, he's free.
Right. So
but if he's tummy, if he's tummy, the kohen, no, but if he's tummy, right, so if he's tummy, his wife could still stay with him, but then he loses out on all the people. Because he can't be with people. His wife can come into the lockdown. Right, so that's what it's Machlokes. It's those that stay by the kiddush and drink, and those that not. That's the way I look at it, right? Those that want to sit by the kiddush and drink, so they'd rather friendship than their wife's friendship, right?
He's not talking to anybody specifically, right?
Right, and the ones that want the wife's friendship, they don't drink by the kiddush.
Maybe we have better friendship with our wives after we drink.
No. I mean, ask the wives that question, all right? Tell that one to the wives and see. Come back to me. Circle back. Right? Did we offend enough people yet tonight with Hatzalah and Corona and nurses and doctors and now marriage and what else?
It's a small crowd tonight. It's not so many people.
Yeah, but it's being recorded at least.
Also, the Yankees are horrible.
Very good. Okay, fine. So that's that. So Lameimra, so what do you mean to say? The muchlat mutter b'tashu shamita. So basically, what you're saying is that a guy could be with his wife, which is another interesting thing because who says that he tashmish shamita? Maybe he just wants to have his wife's company, and it's not tashmish, right? That Gemara doesn't entertain that thought.
Is that when he's when he's sleeping in the sukkah?
Very good.
No, the Gemara is assuming that if he's going to be with his wife.
Good, but
he's going to have
maybe he wants to be. His wife can be with him.
They're older, but he can't have company together.
But he can't have tashmish. The Gemara is assuming that the reason why the Gemara is not dumb. That's the bottom line. We'll stop right there. Okay, no memra. The muchlat. That's what half the chassan shmuz is about. Okay, remember the muchlat mutter b'tashu shamita. Are you saying that a muchlat is mutter and tashu shamita? In yes, Vatanya. He has to be outside of his tent. Shivas Yamim. That tells you that is also in Tashush Mita. And oil means his wife. Right? Go back to your tent, which means to your wives. Yeah. So that's one way of learning it. Yeah. So it says that it's also B'Tashush Mita. Right? He has a different limit. Shivas Yomim Yisapuloi. He should count 7 days. You may Sviroi Velo you may Chaluta. Only in the days of his counting, meaning the 7 clean days, that's when he can't be with his wife. Not in the days that he's locked up waiting for, right? Meaning waiting for the Tzaraas to heal. Well, if the Zayin may Sviroi, when his Tzaraas is already healed, he's allowed, he's not allowed to be with his wife. So Kavachamer, they may Chaluta, they shouldn't be. Dante Lifnei Rebbi, Tanu Rabbeinu, Yosem Yosem had this whole story go again. Yosem Uzio was the king, and for the last, I don't even know how many years it was, he had Tzaraas. Right? He had Tzaraas, so he was out of it. The Tzaraas never healed. But Lamaisa, he had a kid. Right? So, and his kid's name was Yosem, so that means he was together with his wife. So Rebbi said, yes, I also say that. Right? So basically, we have a Machlokes, whether it's motor b'tashish mit or not, but my committee, right? So what's a Machlokes? Yes, we would discover Gali Rachmana be Meisvirai. The Torah said it be Meisvirai, that he's not allowed to be he's not allowed to be with his wife. A kosher can be Mechaluta, and kosher can in the days when he's locked up. From our suffer, my the Gali, my the Gali. What the Torah said, and what the Torah didn't say, the Torah didn't say. Right, so that's a Machlokes. Tosfos has answered in Kasha. We know we always learn from Kal V'chomer. Kal V'chomer is one of the things that we learn from. Right, so isn't this a Kal V'chomer? He said he has a Kal V'chomer. If they're not allowed to be together when he's really clean during his 7 clean days from the Tzaraas, then Kol Shekain. Right? Fine. Okay.
The guy was a metzora for 25 years.
Was that the amount of years?
Yeah, 25 or 26 years.
Yeah. Talk about a quarantine.
That's a long time. Yeah,
that is a long time. I can imagine doing that without a smartphone. Right. But anyway, so remember the kohen tali. Now we go back to the basic. Remember that the kohen tali is really tali in a kohen. Yes, it does. Vatanya v'yom herois boy. The day that you show it to him, Yeshem Shata Royaboy, Yeshem Shiata Royaboy. Right? The pasuk is telling you that there's days that the kohen looks and there's days that the kohen doesn't look. Mikan Amru, Chasen Shanole by Nega. A Chasen Shanole by Nega, a Chasen that gets a Tzaraas. And now what? So they don't check out not him, not his house, not his clothing, because that's when the person gets Tzaraas, you have to check. You have to check the clothing to see if the clothing gets Tzaraas in the house, to see if the house. No checking because you want him to have a normal Sheva Brooks. Same thing on Yom Tif. You give him 7 days. That's anybody. Yes. So you see that there are days where the kohen looks and days that the kohen doesn't look. So the same thing in chol Moed. Rebbi Omer in Tzaraas. You don't need it. The kohen commands and they take everything out of the house, meaning in order to save those things from Tzaraas, you move everything out of the house, meaning before he decides that it has Tzaraas, get everything out and then they'll paskin it, right? You know what, unfortunately, what we do with this also, somebody on a Motzei Shabbos, Naftali Liner asked him about this, right? You turn on your phone too early on a Motzei Shabbos and somebody's nifter, right? Naftali, because he was waiting for his kid, his mother was, his father was not doing well. Your mother was also.
My mother was a Yontif. You told me don't turn my phone on. Right. Take a shower first. It sounds cold.
So what you do is you tell the person, go into the shower first and then turn on your phone. Like this, if you get the bad basura, which is exactly what happened to Naftali, but he turned on his phone before Abdullah and he found out the bad basura, so he wasn't able to.
My mother, I listened. My mother, I listened to. My father was unexpected.
Really like that, but she's a good sister. You do like that, yeah? Of course,
yeah. That's one of the things you hint at. When somebody comes, nobody should ever know about it. But somebody goes and says, "Oh, go in the shower." Then So it's the same thing here.
But my father was unexpected. I had to read the message a few times. It was just I wasn't.
Yeah. Okay, so Rebbi Omer Tzaraas Hareyoim V'Tziva Kohen Ufano Sabayis Mamtinim Lo L'Dvar Rishus Kol Shekin L'Dvar Mitzvah. Right, it's just the Dvar Rishus. If we wait for the Kohen to paskin to get everything out of the house, and we only do that for Rishus to save him things. So of course you're going to do it for Dvar Mitzvah, which is Sheva Brachas and Yom Tif. So my Beinai, what's the difference between the two? The Ma'aser are both saying that the kohen, it's up to the kohen. First, it's just had a darshan the pasuk. That's it. There's no difference between them. No, dvar rishus is the difference between them. The first sheet would say only for a dvar mitzvah is the kohen allowed to not say something, but for dvar rishus he has to say right away. For Rabbi Yehuda, mehasam loigam rinon. How far should we go? Rabbi Yehuda mehasam loigam rinon. The chiddushu. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't want to learn it out because it's a chiddush. Because eitzim vavonim ba'alma, no, eitzim and avonim can never become tummy, right? There's no such thing as stones and trees becoming tummy. But by Tzaraas, they become tummy. So it's too big a chiddush, you can't learn anything out from that. Meaning that the kohen can wait to paskin on the stones of the house so that things become tahor. It's such a chiddush. So in halacha, so we could say, okay, you know what, let the kohen wait, get everything out of the house, right? Again, the Ha'itzim Vana Ba'alma Loy Metamu V'Acham Metamu here the Metamu. The Rebbi Amar Itzrich. No, it's the middle of the sugas. So we have to go. So Rebbi Amar Itzrich, right? You do need it. The Ikas of Rachman will be Yoim Haris by the day that you show him Hava. I mean the Ledvar Mitzvah and Ledvar Rishus Loy. That you're only allowed to do this for a Dvar Mitzvah, not for a Dvar Rishus. Because Rachman of Tziva Kohen. That's what it says Tziva Kohen. Because Rachman of Tziva Kohen Hava Minahani in the Lav Tuma de Gufei. That's not these things. It's not a tumor on the body. I'm a tumor de gufei. But tumor on the guf that he has to look right. Tzrichas, therefore you need it. Okay, we'll stop here. The Gemara is going to continue till the Mishna, but we'll stop here. Fine. Okay, shkoya for tuning in. Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Tomorrow night my flight lands at Be'ez Hashem at 8:25 New York time. So it should be better. If it gets delayed, I'll let the island know somehow.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Icky. Going to Icky, the Phoenix.
I just thought that this mission is not about Hamoed. It's about the whole Yom Tov.
It's about it's about the whole Yom Tov.
Yeah. I'm still in Hamoed mode.
Huh?
I'm still in Hamoed. Hamoed mode.
Hamoed mode. Yeah.
Shekayach.
What did I want to tell you? What was your issue?
I don't know, but it's still being recorded.
That's fine.
What
was your issue with the thing with the socks? What didn't you understand?
With what you sent me?
Yeah.
Wait, you sent me that WhatsApp or text? WhatsApp, right?
I don't know what I did.
Yeah, WhatsApp. Let me find it. Yeah, there it is. I don't